Techie Brezza, the Citybred SUV.
Beware the team that plays Royal Challengers Bengaluru. We thought their season was almost done and they sprung a surprise by beating the Sunrisers. They now travel to Ahmedabad, where an inconsistent Gujarat Titans need to pick up the pace if they are to make a serious play for the playoffs. Both teams have failed to win 2 games on the trot, so plenty to look forward to on this double-header Sunday as match 45 features Gujarat Titans against RCB. We build up to that on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket Info Timeout, powered by JBL. The familiar company of McClenaghan and Varun Aaron, but Aaron Finch is actually the veteran on the Cricket Info shows here. He returns after the World Cup. Finchy, good to have you back, man.
Always good to be here. It's nice to talk cricket, and what a stage to do it.
Do you like what you've done with the place?
I love it.
Just tweaked it a little.
Yeah, it's more comfortable, isn't it?
He's slightly overdressed, don't you think, though, today?
I'm sorry, I'm doing my duties with Star and you guys.
Of course you are.
Please don't get stuck into me.
Old-fashioned double dipper.
That can be...
lifted Tommy gun outside, didn't you?
Straight from the catwalk.
Yeah.
Go on.
Thanks, guys.
Go on. Let's take a few more. Sledge him back. Don't let the Aussies give you...
off air. No, let's save it for later.
All right. Mitch McClenaghan has been promoted to the corner of the couch. A favourite position of his and a superstitiously lucky one?
Yeah, I didn't have to wear my lucky underwear today.
Oh my God. I thought we'd go through the first 4 minutes.
I knew I was going to be in this
mention
spot.
of his underwear.
I knew I was going to be in this
Stop it,
spot.
both of you. Stop it. This
the
is
luck's
getting
all
silly.
here.
I must call this meeting to order now. All right. Because Finch is with us for the first time, maybe it's a nice idea to just start by getting a quick fire summary of how Finchy's viewed the tournament so far. Just 3 words to describe what we've seen in this year's IPL. Finchy?
Ridiculous. Amazing. Unstoppable. It has literally just been go from the start. And I think when you've got the impact sub and the youngsters coming in and having the impact that they've had, it's extraordinary.
Yeah, I can sense that there's a ridiculous side of it, and yet it's awesome to watch. Player of the tournament for you so far?
Sunny Narayan, by the length of the straight, I think. The way he's batted at the top of the order, the impact that he's having there, but then you throw in his bowling. I mean, the other night, I think it was
went 24.
Went for 24 in a chase of 260. That just shows his quality.
Yeah, I'm going to bring that up a little later. We have a nice chat we're going to just get into detail with. And finally, breakout star for the tournament for you?
There's 2. There's an international one in Jake Fraser McGurk, obviously, who's been outstanding. And Ashutosh Sharma, I think he's been brilliant when he's had his opportunity down the bottom. He's shown an ability to play all around the ground, get his team home in close run chases, which is the sign of a big future.
All right, brilliant. Okay, so we are going to focus on the game at hand. And just a quick reminder of where these teams stand. RCB still bottom of the points table when it comes to where you want to be at this stage. They're still mathematically in it for the most optimistic of RCB fans, but for all practical purposes, the Titans, if they can get on a bit of a streak, they could still find a backdoor to the top 4. It's gotten a bit interesting. Rajasthan flying away with it actually is good news for the rest of the league, because then it makes 4th spot a little more vulnerable. Lucknow have lost as well. So keep an eye on net run rate and keep an eye on the remaining set of fixtures, where Mumbai have to actually play Lucknow and KKR twice. So that's hard work, including the Sunrisers, who are in action later today against CSK. Gujarat in 7th. RCB won the toss. They're going to bowl first, which is, I guess, up for debate in afternoon games. Let's get a quick reaction on that. Bowling first in an afternoon game?
They must be thinking that there's going to be some sort of dew in the second half.
Yep.
But if there is no dew, then what happens is that the wicket becomes slower, the spinners come into play, especially GD playing the 3-spin quartet again is going to be quite a handful, considering that RCB are generally slower against spin than against pace.
Finch is back with us, and his good buddy Glenn Maxwell is back in the RCB playing side as well. Let's just have a quick look. Faf, Maxi, Cameron, Green, and they have decided not to go for the overseas quick, so no Lockie Ferguson. Thoughts?
Well, I think at this time of the tournament, you need that dynamic type player, and Maxi certainly is that. He wasn't in the best form, but having spoken to him just via text, he's in a really good space. I saw his parents the other day, and they were optimistic about everything, about the way that he's been going as well. So that's a real positive. And I think the overseas quick hasn't been working anyway. They've been going around the park. So
Fair enough.
I think it's a fair enough decision.
Yeah, I wonder if you share that sentiment. You were calling for the 2 overseas quick balance for a while for RCB. Does the last game change that? We'll just have a look at the full team in a second, where they would have persisted with both Karan Sharma and Swapnil Singh in the spin.
Yeah, I guess unfortunately for them, the overseas seamers didn't come in and have an impact. And do I think that RCB's got the quality in local seamers? No, I don't. But they've gone and just gone, well, okay, well, we're going to have to score more runs. And that's why they're batting second. They're just loading up their batting, saying, Gujarat, go do your best, and hopefully we can restrict you with a couple of good spells, and we back ourselves with our lineup and depth and batting to chase it down.
I think there are definitely a few more factors in play for that decision. One is Cameron Green has been bowling a lot better since the last 2 games. He's been picking up wickets.
And better than the front line quick that they've been picking as well.
Correct, yeah. So that's definitely a factor. Number 2 is Maxi can give you a little more spin, especially at this wicket in Gujarat.
Yep.
So there are factors, and obviously Maxi coming back. If Maxi gets going, then everybody else is just out of the picture.
It's a good point. While we have a pattern of extraordinarily high scores and the most 200 plus scores, the most 250 plus scores in the IPL and all of that, Ahmedabad has been different. It's a throwback to T20 cricket of the years gone by now, because we've seen the scores. It's one of 3 grounds in the tournament that has not seen a 200 score yet registered, and we take exception to Punjab chasing exactly 200 against Gujarat on the 4th of April. And this is an afternoon game, remember? So SRH Gujarat was one of those games which they managed to keep the flying Sunrisers in check as well. We also look at the point that perhaps they don't mind going on overseas seamer light against this batting lineup. The Titans are far from the most explosive batting lineup, with due respect to them. It's a top 3 that have gone at a certain pace. Middle overs, their numbers are down. We'll just bring that up in a second. Is that in play at all? That you're not fearing this batting lineup like you fear some others?
Sure, if you look at the stats, they are the only batting lineup where everybody's batting below a strike rate of 150, which is huge, and especially a contest like this and the matches we're seeing 250 plus scores all the time. Even when we saw that stat of all the scores at the stadium, the highest score has been 199, which is again an anomaly. It's also because you must understand they're also playing on slower wickets to accommodate the 3 spinners, and they've lost Shami, they've lost Hardik. So the kind of wickets they were playing on last year has drastically changed this year, because they've lost their front line fast bowler, and Hardik was doing really well for the ball with them as well.
All right. Let's take a little break from Ahmedabad and the type of cricket we've seen there versus what's been the general theme of this year's IPL. As Aaron Finch points out, ridiculous. We've seen all those batting records stumble, and we go on with it. What we want to know now is, less than 72 hours before all the international teams confirm their World Cup squad, is whether what's happened in the IPL is likely to carry on for the World Cup in terms of the intensity of batting, strike rates, scores. How should fans view what they're seeing now versus what they'll see in the World Cup in less than a month's time?
I think what the IPL has done, especially this IPL, has given batsmen belief that this is possible. And when people come to the crease, and when the bowlers arrive to their marks, they're going to be like, you know what, we've just seen these scores. Anything is possible from here. So nobody's going to be in their comfort zone. Batting teams are going to try score bigger. Bowling teams are going to try and be more innovative. But at the end of the day, I feel, just from a bowler's perspective, the key is to get wickets up front. We've seen that in every single game. Whichever team has got wickets up front has been the team which has come out on tops at the end of the game.
I don't think it will. There won't be a huge amount of crossover. The wickets in the Caribbean are nothing like what we've seen so far. These have been the flattest wickets I've ever seen. There's been barely any swing. There's been no bounce of note. Batters have just been able to load up to some pretty short boundaries. So I think a little bit of hold in the wicket in the Caribbean and a bit more unknown in the US will mean that batters have to play a little bit more conservative, and also with 7 batters at most that you're going to have in your side, with some bowlers who can hit a little bit, as opposed to the impact sub, which is blowing it all out of proportion, I think.
Yeah, we just look at the numbers that Finchy makes the point of. If you look at West Indies home T20, as a number of viewers may not necessarily follow bilateral cricket, especially in that part of the world with the timings for India, but it's not that far off. We've seen death overs economies at 12s in this year's IPL, whereas last year in the Caribbean, they went at 11s. The overall is between 9 and 9.7. And you could just compare the numbers. Remember, they play in the day as well, and they play at night. I mean, I saw a game against India where the West Indies defended 140, and then England, with Phil Salt firing, chased 220 with ease. So you get the entire range. Mitch?
Yeah, you do. But I think Finch is right. I think fans are going to have to temper their expectations. I think sides are probably going to have to bring back that role that we love talking about in T20 cricket, the anchor role. If they get in trouble, someone's going to have to steer the ship during that middle phase. And you see that from the economy rate being at 8 instead of 9s in that middle phase there. So it's going to be more difficult to hit boundaries against spin. But what you do find at the end of the innings is that the way the West Indies like to play their style of cricket, which skews those numbers at the death, is they just go for it at the end and try to load up that back end of the innings.
How much does the timing of the IPL, or how much could it possibly affect what selectors are thinking right now? Not just Indian selectors. There is the big Fraser McGurk question. Do you think it's wise to base judgments on what you're seeing in the IPL for the World Cup with the point you've made?
I think you can still base form regardless of where it is and what time of the year it is. But I think teams will mainly have their 15s set in their mind before this tournament started. Yes, someone like Jake Fraser McGurk will throw that into chaos a little bit, and the Australian selectors. But I think one thing that the public and the cricket lover they have the recency bias. So they'll see somebody, particularly an Indian player, play one good knock and they should be in the World Cup squad. Or they'll get 20 off 8 balls, they've got to be in the World Cup squad. So there's always that bias towards what you've just seen. And when you don't have that ability to play the same way in international cricket as you do here, I think that can create a lot more confusion.
I mean, the flip side of it is players that you had set as, say, a selection panel go, and they've had a poor IPL, which coincides with the other thing, what Finch is saying. There are those in form, but there are those that you saw, whether it's a Mohammad Siraj or whether it's a Rohit Sharma, whoever you thought, Jadeja, is going to be in your team. If they're not having as much of an impact, should it cloud your judgment?
See, it's going to be a double-edged sword, because if you select more than one player on a recency bias, then there's going to be questions raised on a lot of players, because a lot of the Indian key players are not having their best IPL, but that does not mean they're not going to rock up at the World Cup and play their best cricket, because like we just discussing, playing for your country and playing for the IPL are two very, very different things, especially with no impact sub, especially with conditions which are unknown to you. And when all these things come into play, plus with the pressures of international cricket, of the whole nation looking at you rather than just your franchise.
I totally agree that international cricket is different to franchise cricket. No matter how much you want to say, wow, they're playing well now, they will do well in international cricket, it is just totally different. The pressure is different, the quality is different, the consistent quality is different as well. So that's something to take into account. The people who have done well in international cricket before, they hold the aces, I think.
I don't mean to assume, but you mean, of course, international cricket is of the higher quality.
Absolutely.
Because we had an interesting chat on that, didn't we?
Yeah, it's higher in the top echelon of teams, and then you've got that second group of international.
But you're not going to
win.
You don't win the World Cup against the second.
Those guys, I understand. I do understand that. One thing I can tell you is that there won't be as many drop catches.
Is it down to simply the impact player rule and the conditions, or are there any other factors? Yes,
attitude.
Says.
Attitude as well, for the youngsters to walk out and hit sixes from ball one. There's none of this, well, I'll play myself in for 6 balls, because there's no time, particularly in run chases. And I think at the start of the tournament, not many people would have seen the tournament going this way. It's just purely 1 or 2 games where teams are chasing 250 and they get close enough that you go, right, maybe we need to rethink how we play T20. And I think that flow-on effect from 1 or 2 games has had a huge impact.
Anything else?
Obviously,
is the standard of bowling worth discussing here? When you brought up Sunil Narayan's point, you're the pitch curator at Eden Gardens who's copping a lot of criticism.
Well, Lance Glusner said something yesterday, didn't he? He basically said that the quality of bowling throughout the tournament's been of a very average standard. He said there's been some seriously average bowling in this tournament. And I think you'd have to agree from an execution point of view. I'm not saying that the bowlers aren't up to the level, they've just been missing consistently. And I think when you go in with the mentality of, oh, well, it's about his game, you're already losing, and we've spoken about this a few times. Mindset's important as a bowler. Go out there and be that person who can try and impact the game. Make every ball an event, because you going for a single instead of a boundary actually can change the whole dynamic of the game now with the totals being so high. Every boundary you save is significant.
The bowling at Eden Garden the other night, there was some poor bowling, but also towards the end, slower balls were skidding on like nothing. Pace on was skidding on. There was no hold in the wicket. Chamira, I think it was bowling around the wicket, and he's been pumped 80 metres over cover. So at some point, you can say, I executed beautifully. Luke Wood last night, or in the first game, he bowled a perfect Yorker that went for 6 over short third men off
the reverse.
So I think the batting game has evolved at a different level and a different speed to what bowlers have evolved at. And I don't know where the bowlers can continue to go because their margin for error is so small. We're seeing now with wides being reviewed that are 50-50 calls that are being called wide. So then you start to doubt where you can go to be defensive at times.
Is it fair to say that while we may have the 20 best white ball batters playing in the IPL, we don't have the 20 best bowlers in the world? Let's just throw in your Mark Woods, Ifa Jofra,
Hazelwood,
the Pakistani,
Archer.
Hazelwood, Zampa. I mean, I'm trying to run around the top of my head to look at what that would be. We have a number of them, but therefore I'm thinking if Finchie says attitude, will it be as easy for, say, Fraser McGurk, or if let's say for sake of argument, Abhishek Sharma opens, that he'll still blaze away in the World Cup, and that better teams or international teams will not come better prepared for them?
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to have a debutant who's just played a few first-class games or a few domestic T20s in the World Cup. Let's put it that way. Anybody who's going to play the World Cup is going to be a seasoned campaigner for all the countries. They're going to have a serious backlog of great performances for their country, for their even in franchise cricket. So when you throw like different situations, as for example a Hazelwood, he's going to come to you with 3-4 different solutions. Right? He's not going to be like a deer in front of headlights.
Yep.
And you're going to have 5 of them. So definitely in international cricket, the quality of bowling is higher.
All right, we can perhaps put that there, but it's an interesting conversation. Tom said something very interesting about Mayank Yadav. We got very excited about Mayank Yadav should be in India's 2026 World Cup squad. So is that one way of looking at it? Instead of getting carried away because the World Cup's now, and you think these guys are hot, put them in, and they'll do the same thing for their country. You've seen a group of young players with great attitude. All the selectors should say, yep, they're part of our 2-year plan. Is that a wise way to think?
Absolutely, it is. And I said the same thing about. I'm having a mental blank right
Fraser?
now. No, number 4 for Rajasthan.
Parag.
Sorry, Rian Parag. And there's a lot of hype around him at the moment, but the reality is he's competing with Virat Kohli and Suryakumar Yadav.
Yeah.
I know who I'm taking every day of the week, but in 3 or 4 years' time, maybe after he's built up a couple of consistent seasons, both domestically and IPL, then you say, right, this is the next guy to take us forward. But for right now, I think that's just a reaction to a good domestic season and then a good IPL so far.
Happens quite often, doesn't it? Players getting selected for India after a breakout season in the IPL, and then you don't hear from them after they play for India. They'll play a series or 2 for India, and then they're out the back door, and then they come back to the IPL in the next years and they struggle. I'm thinking of like Rahul Chahar, Mayank, Makande. These guys, they just get Chakravarti. They kind of come in because they've had a good IPL, go to that level and then get spat out, and then they're kind of nowhere. So I do like your plan in terms of like, well, actually, let's build them up. Let's get a couple of seasons of good performances behind them. This is the goal, 2026 has a World Cup, and we'll try and make sure that you've got the experience and the ability to perform consistently at that top level when that comes around.
Also, Mayank Yadav's fitness is under question quite a lot. He's had a few fitness-related issues. And if you're taking somebody to the World Cup, you would want to make sure that he's not going to break down in the middle of the tournament.
Travis Head come into the World Cup and wasn't available for the first month of the 50 over 1, so
That's true.
that turned out all right for Australia.
That's why we're not going to have those long tournaments anymore.
Right.
Short 3-week tournaments.
Exactly.
Don't give anyone a chance.
Don't give Travis Head a chance to win another World Cup for Australia.
Not even Sunrisers aren't even making him feel that taking such good care of him.
So good. That's an Australian captain and an Australian coach,
and
who's in the Australian
coach.
setup.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, so we're basically building the Australian team for the next World Cup. That's what the IPL is doing.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, quick confirmation. Back to our attention. Fascinating conversation with Finchie, Mitch and Varun, but we focus on Gujarat's team now. Showed you the RCB change. Big one with Glenn Maxwell's return. As we look at, I was curious to see if Azmatullah Mirza had run his course in this team, whether Kane Williamson might be an option or could they go for Matthew Wade for a more dynamic batter. But they persist with him. And they also keep Sai Kishore in, who was a big point of debate when it came to how his usage was. Might be an easier day in an afternoon game, perhaps, for Shubman Gill to handle 3 spinners.
100%. I think Sai Sudarshan was not deployed in the best way in the last game after coming off from a really good game, especially with the number of left-handers Delhi had. Sai Sudarshan was always like
Sai Kishore.
Sai Kishore. Too many Sais in Gujarat. So Sai Kishore was. We were a bit surprised with that inclusion, but today will definitely be a better day, especially they're bowling second.
Yeah, unfortunately for Sai Kishore, he's the number 3 spinner in that side. He shouldn't have played the last game with the lineup Delhi had, but today's a great opportunity for him to play against RCB, the lineup. You know, you've got Faf, you've got Virat, who struggled.
Giving the new ball?
Yeah, power play.
Good chance.
Got to bowl in the power play, take the new ball. So, I mean, they've got, and it's actually positive that they're batting second, in my opinion, because Sai's going to bowl in the power play, and then you've got Rashid and Noor to really kind of slow down that run chase of RCB in that middle.
All right, and on that note, it's time to have some fun. You know how this works, Finchy. Mitch will give you a full brief, but let's enter the impact zone. Right, for the benefit of our viewers who may not have seen this before, and for Aaron Finch on the panel for this tournament for the first time, each expert picks 3 players for each game, a batter, bowler and a wild card. Impact points as per ESPN Cricket for Smart Stats, a much better way to judge the impact of a player in this format than conventional stats. And the expert with the highest points tally for each game gets 3 in their season tally. But this is about a shootout today. Finch is with us today and tomorrow. All he needs is bragging rights.
That's all
if he gets it right.
Yep.
So,
You get extra points if you pick someone who's on the impact sub bench as well.
all right.
Why would you do that?
Okay, if you would like to see the squads at any point, you may ask for it, and our producers will be kind enough. Why don't we show him how it's done? Varun, would you like to go first?
I'm going to pick my batter.
Your batter.
First. I'm going to go with Shubman Gill.
All right, Gill. Interesting. Finch.
I'm going to go with Will Jacks.
Okay.
Damn it. I'm going to go with Glenn Maxwell.
Okay.
That's a good pick.
Maxwell.
Is there any points for captains?
No, it's just
pure
literally
runs and
batting and
wickets
bowling
and-
impact. Yeah.
And fielding?
Not even fielding.
Really?
Yeah.
So you can field rubbish and let a heap of runs through and it doesn't affect
Yep,
your impact score?
100%.
Does not. No.
That's how we devise it. Fincher, you can now pick a bowler of your choice. You get to go first. Would you like to see the squads?
No. Who's batting first? RCB are batting.
No,
they're
RCB
chasing.
won the toss and they're
You
bowling.
can choose from
Gujarat
both
are batting.
teams. It doesn't matter.
I understand
Who's
that.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
Yeah, but
I'm just trying to help you.
What will be more impactful?
far, yeah.
What will be more impactful?
Why are you going to help him? That will go.
Yeah.
I'm just being nice.
RCB batting second. Noor Ahmed.
Okay, interesting. Mitch?
I'm
taken
gonna
you
go,
first too, haven't I?
Yeah. I'll go Rashid Khan.
Rashid Khan. Varun?
I will go Sai Kishore.
Ooh,
Ooh, 3
okay.
spinners. A lot
That's
of faith in the
interesting.
RCB bowlers.
And finally, Mitch McClenaghan, wildcard time.
Wild card. I'm going to go David Miller.
Okay. Varun?
Can I see the squad?
Squad, please.
Just buying time.
GT first.
I'm going to go Sai Sudarshan.
Sai Sudarshan and Finchy.
Azmatullah Amazai.
Ooh, okay. Very well. It's my turn now. I play as well. And through the process of elimination,
He
it
didn't
makes
have
it
to
easy
start.
for me.
He didn't have to start, but he
I'm
got so
going.
much.
I'm going to make this very easy for all of you. I can't believe it, but I will take Virat Kohli if nobody wants him. I will take Faf du Plessis if nobody wants him. And as a bowler, I will go for Mohit Sharma.
Yep.
Solid.
Nice.
Quite pleased with that. Right. First inning scores and outrageous picks. Varun.
They're going to get 205. 205.
205. Okay. Outrageous pick.
Outrageous pick. Who's batting first?
Gujarat.
Gujarat. Shubman's getting anything between 70 to 90.
70 to 90 for Gill. Mitch.
I will go 189.
Oh, that was actually had that number in mind.
Oh, I got one back on you.
Is this like the Price is Right, where it's nearest without going over?
No,
Exactly.
It's got to be bang on.
Taskmasters, 189.
189, and David Miller will get 40 off 20. He'd get 40, a minimum of 40 runs off 20 balls.
40 of 20 Miller. I'll take that as an outrageous pick, no problem, in an afternoon game. Finchy.
181.
Okay.
And spin will take 10 wickets combined today.
Ooh, okay.
Ooh, okay.
That's nice. That's a unique one. 10
It is
wickets
unique.
combined today.
I like it.
Yep, I quite like it as well.
It's a lot of wickets.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of wickets in T20.
I'm just
It's a
pointing
lot of
out.
spinners.
I'm just pointing out 200 hasn't been scored here. We did that chat. You've gone 205.
It was outrageous. You got to pick something.
Good man. Good man. All right, we leave it there. Thank you very much, Aaron Finch. Pick up the chat at the end of the game. Varun Aaron, Mitch McClenaghan as well on Maruti Suzuki Arena Presents. ESPN Cricket for Timeout powered by JBL. Download the mobile app if you haven't already. Fastest scores and so much more as we build up to a double-header Sunday with GT RCB now and CSK SRH later this evening. We will see you at the end of the Titans innings.
All new hot and techy Brezza, the Citybird SUV.